Why did so many ancient civilizations build gateways, arches, temples, and underground passageways that led to nowhere? Why carve doors into sheer cliffs? Why align monuments with stars that only rise once a year? Welcome, soul traveler, to the forgotten architecture of death. Today we unravel a mystery etched into the very stone of human history. The portals built for the soul. Across continents and cultures, from Egypt to Mesoamerica to ancient Greece, civilizations have left behind structures that served no obvious functional purpose. They weren't homes. They weren't defenses. They weren't marketplaces. Instead, they appear to be thresholds. Not for the living, but for the dead. In ancient Egypt, the entire pyramid complex was a machine of resurrection. The grand causeways that connected the Valley Temple to the pyramid weren't just ceremonial paths. They were the route of the soul, the Ka, as it traveled back to the stars. Inside the pyramid, shafts point not randomly, but directly to Orion and Sirius, constellations associated with Osiris, the god of the dead. These weren't graves. They were cosmic launchpads. Likewise, the Temple of Osiris at Abydos features the Osirian, a subterranean chamber whose construction predates much of dynastic Egypt. Deep underground, filled with water, lined with massive granite blocks, the Osirian was not a place of living rituals. It was a simulation of the underworld, a liminal zone, a portal. In Mesoamerica, the Mayans and Aztecs told of Xibalba, the place of fear, a vast underworld filled with tests and deceptions. But to reach it, one had to pass through caves and cenotes. Natural openings into the earth were sacred, and many were expanded into ceremonial chambers. These were entrances to the other world. Archaeologists have found offerings, bones, and even entire temples built inside caves. Not for shelter, but for passage. The Greeks had their own gates to Hades, the necromanteion of Ephora, a temple where the dead could be contacted. Built atop a hill, overlooking the river Acheron, one of the 5 rivers of the underworld. Those who entered underwent rituals of disorientation, spinning, fasting, darkness, and incense, all designed to weaken the ordinary senses. Only then could the veil be pierced. Why all this effort? Why build doorways no one walks through, align tombs with invisible stars, sink chambers deep beneath the earth or high into the sky? Because the soul, in their eyes, was not abstract. It traveled. It moved. It needed guidance. Ancient architecture was not just physical. It was spiritual cartography. Every step, every angle, every material carried meaning. Black stone for the night, white for purity, gold for divine presence, water for rebirth, fire for purification. These weren't just symbols. They were technologies, interfaces between worlds. The portal wasn't just a hole in a wall. It was a process, a liminal state, the moment when one thing becomes another. Birth, death, dream, trance. Every civilization had their own way of inducing this threshold. Fasting, chanting, smoke, labyrinths. These were not diversions. They were tools. Because to open a portal, the body had to forget itself, and the soul had to remember. Consider the Hypogeum of Malta in Malta, a subterranean temple carved thousands of years ago with chambers that resonate at specific frequencies. The Oracle Room produces a vibration at 111 Hz, a tone that modern studies associate with meditative brain states. Coincidence? Or did the builders know that sound was a key? Even the Norse myths spoke of Bifrost, the rainbow bridge between Midgard and Asgard. It was not just a mythic image, but a coded map of consciousness, a shimmering threshold only the worthy could cross. Portals were everywhere, in story, in stone, in song. In these traditions, the underworld wasn't hell. It was a place of transition. Trials, yes, but also wisdom. The journey through the land of the dead was a rite of passage, and one didn't have to die to walk it. Shamans, oracles, priests, and seekers could descend intentionally. They used sacred architecture to do it. The architecture was more than symbolic. It was psychological. Walking through dark, narrow corridors with low ceilings causes the body to hunch, the breath to slow. Emerging into a high, open space filled with echoing sound and light mimics rebirth. The ritual was encoded into the structure itself, and when performed correctly, it altered consciousness. That's the secret modern eyes often miss. These weren't monuments to the dead. They were engines of transformation. And what does the soul see when it steps through these portals? In Egyptian belief, it faces the weighing of the heart, not against sin, but against a feather. The measure is lightness. In Mayan myth, it faces tricksters and puzzles, a hero's journey of cleverness and courage. In Greek myth, it meets shades, echoes of life, and drinks from the rivers of forgetfulness or memory. These myths are not contradictions. They are lenses. Each portal built, each rite performed, was a way of rehearsing the soul for what came after, like a dress rehearsal for eternity. In the modern world, we build cemeteries like storage units. Clean, minimal, sterile. But the ancients built architecture that participated in the transition. They gave the soul something to walk through, something to experience. They understood that death is not a wall. It is a door, and every door needs a frame. So the next time you see an ancient arch with no entrance, or a temple built beneath the ground, or a cave filled with offerings, ask yourself, who was this made for? Not the body, but the traveler who leaves it behind, the soul. And perhaps, just perhaps, the journey it takes is not far away, but hidden in plain sight, waiting for us to remember.